Do you think someone could be on OnlyFans if they're losing their hair?
I mean, there's something for everybody. Like, I just worry that if I did it, it would be so embarrassing if mine was like, I just make $20 a month.
Well, this is...
And it's Joe that's just helping me out.
Hold on to that thought. Hello and welcome to Chit Chat Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I sit with a guest over Zoom, and we have a little chit chat. Very excited for today's guest. They have a new special on YouTube called Butthole Money, which, I mean, jarring to say the least. Love the name. Sarah Tollemache, thank you for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the new JTrain podcast.
I got to stand out some way.
Right. Is that kind of the plan? Is that part of it? We are all different now. We live in a post what will father algorithm do for me society.
Right. Well, I don't have a thing, and I don't feel like white woman is it, and there's lots of us. And I have no diversity.
Right. Well, you bring up an uncomfortable point. We know that like hashtag Indian is kind of helpful on certain platforms. Like, you know, and like my parents growing up, when they were like, we're going to go vote, my dad would go, I just look for the Jewish name when I don't know the candidate. And I go, that was just like kind of a normal thing. And I think that happens with like algorithms where it's like, just give me my people, you know, like, and when you say, and what you're saying is like, I don't know I don't know how that's heard from a listenership. I'm actually curious, and because it can go alt-right pretty quickly, don't you think?
Right. I mean, I like to like lean into it comedically of being a white woman for sure. Like having a self-awareness about it is pretty funny, but it definitely, like, when I look at like YouTube analytics, it's like there's times where I type in comedy and then it tells you what people are looking at, and it's Indian, and you're like, who's this guy? And then you're like, I've never heard of this person. 32 billion subscribers.
Right. You have no, and you go, and you feel stupid. You go, I've been living on Earth, calling myself a comedian. I don't know 32 billion guy, you know, like it's crazy. And
no, it's wild. And then like I know a lot of Indian comics like to come here to like conquer the American market, and you're like, you guys conquered the world.
Right. You're doing it. You're Alex the Great, you know, and I didn't know, I actually talked to a guy, an Indian guy who is on YouTube, and he made the point. He's like, they speak English there too. Right. And I didn't know that was an English-speaking country. I was like, I had no idea that that's like the number one language, I think. Like he's like, why would we not be in India? And I'm like,
right.
Oh, I had no idea. I felt like an idiot.
I think their humor is very similar to American humor or English humor, like satire and sarcasm and dry.
It has to be. I mean, to see, you know, this just became Chit Chat Wednesday about two white people talking about Indians. Giving their...
I love talking about Indians.
Yeah, listen, this is an all India half hour. So, Butthole Money, are you like... I mean, no one's going to forget that name.
Right. Well, it's a word or terminology like I used in the special, and it basically just like breaks down... Like, I was flabbergasted that the Cash Me Outside girl had made $52 million on OnlyFans to a point where I'm just
52 million?
Yes, in 1 year. And I'm just going to do kind of the gist of the joke or the takeaway. It's like, at that point, is that really demeaning? Like that can turn into generational wealth. And
I would say 52 million is generational wealth.
Right. She can invest that. And I do really believe like every step of her trajectory has worked out for her, that she clearly has a team or somebody.
Right.
And it's like,
well, you hope.
I hope.
The hope, if she doesn't have a team, that means the Cash Me Outside girl is smarter than both of us. I guess, right?
I think she's probably one of the hardest working people in Hollywood.
Right.
Because
that's a good point. You're right.
Yeah, because she did, what was it, Bhad Bhabie? Like, and I think that worked out for her well.
What's
and
Bhad Bhabie?
Her, like, rap album or moniker, I guess.
Does she ever, like, give any credit to Dr. Phil? Does she ever, like, get together with him? Does she say, like...
Yeah, like looking back on my, like a lifetime achievement of... That's why it's, like, mind-blowing to me of a lot of these people, like, if you're smart enough and strike the iron while it's hot, like the Hawk Tua girl...
Her new podcast is coming out.
Right, as much as you want to get annoyed where you're like, good for her.
Did you see the commercial for her new podcast?
No.
It's very funny because you realize there's nothing original. Like Hawk Tua, again, strike while the iron's hot. That moment, she is a star. Yeah. She said something original that we'd never heard before. In a way we've never heard it. I'm just saying, like, we've never heard it that way. For it to get as big as it got, it had to have been, and for her to own the space. She's not the only one that's ever reenacted spitting on a dick, but she did it in the way that was most artsy. Revolutionary.
Yeah, she broke the mold.
Right, but you really only get a couple moments of genius in your life, I think, and like hers happen to be on TV or on the internet because they show the commercial for her podcast, which is like on the Jake Paul network, which we are now living in an alternate timeline, where he has a network. He's NBC. Yeah. And the commercial was like, I'm going to talk to real people and have real conversations. And it's like, what do you think we're all doing on podcasts? Do you think like what podcast are you calling out for these fake, like who? The whole podcast industry is like people chit-chatting. And it's like the idea that Hawk Tua's conversations are going to we ain't going to be fake like Joe Rogan's doing fake. All
the memorization I've had to do for this conversation.
Right.
Was so difficult.
Our India pre yeah, right. It's like so unoriginal that to be like all those people on those other podcasts. They're lying to you. That's the fake news. Hawk Tua's finally gonna get to the real stuff, and it's like, okay,
Look, I'm not just hawking on dicks. I'm not just hawking loogies on dicks. I'm also asking the real questions.
Right. I'm gonna hawk realness all over your face every Wednesday.
I'm just like, I love it, and it's impressive, and hopefully we can all have a moment like that, but it is always like mind-boggling. Like, here it is, like, for the longest time, just like thinking, I got to craft the big, the smartest joke and work 20 years in the scene, and you're like, I'm just like an idiot.
Right. Well, that's the depressing part. Like when you go to the like cellar and you got like, I was just talking about this last night with another comedian. Just the idea that like there are comics going over every word and saying, I need to make sure that this line goes right so that I can say this line. And it's like, you stupid fuck. Get on the internet and do a joke. Lip sync a joke that's already good. Like that would do you better. And I do think this, I don't think it ever comes crumbling down.
No, and it's always been there, because I remember like when Lorraine Bobbitt chopped her husband's penis off. Like I think after where he did porn, which is kind of like
the original
OnlyFans,
Hawk Tua.
The original Hawk Tua, and then there was like the original like the very first Bachelor. He got kind of canceled because they didn't do a background check on him, and he had domestic violence, and then immediately went on a comedy tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's been a thing forever.
Right. The cashing out, but cash me out. But I guess the internet, like everything's times a billion. Like to hear "Cash Me Outside, Girl" has made $52 million in a year. And that's a real number. That's like, we're not like exaggerating at all.
Right. I believe that's the real number. I mean, I don't know what she's making now or if she's even still on there. But
what if I just put this microphone down and you were like, Jared, where are you going? And I just jumped out the window and killed myself.
But we have friends that do OnlyFans, and I know that they're pulling in like $1 million a year or over.
Really?
Like 50,000.
Month. 50,000 a month?
Right.
You know people that are getting 50,000 a month on OnlyFans?
You know people that are getting that.
I do. I know people who make 50,000 a month, and are they showing anything off?
Yeah.
Good for that. Well, that's the thing that I get to. Good for them. You know, like it isn't sad. Like, it used to be thought of as a sad. Like, what's the amount of money? Like, if I was given $52 million for the year, and it was because I showed my balls,
your taint,
you know, my taint. That was my thing. JTrain. I changed my name from JTrain to JTrain, and I just got known. This is the thing. Like, we like to hate on men, but these men are like making, you know, there's no male version of this, is there? I guess maybe it's going alt-right. Like if I go politically completely right-wing, those people make that type of money. That's the only comparable money-wise.
Right. Well, you know, in the podcast world, we have people in the Patreon that we know that make quite a bit a month as well, which is
but not 50,000 a month. What I'm saying,
well, some do.
There's a couple do, but they do that. I do think they do that courting a certain political background. That is the only way because there is this, like, for comedy, there is this thing where it's like I can only get what gets me off comedically by going to the deep nethers of the internet. That's the same thing as Cash Me Outside Girls audience. I can only get off via the deep regions of what Cash Me Outside will.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there is a little bit of an element of that.
Yes. You have to, I guess, go to an extreme. Like, I think for hers, the reason why hers was so big is because she kind of did it on the eve that she turned 18.
Right. I had heard that was like, she kind of was the first OnlyFans person, right? Like the site literally started. She was the opening act, so to speak, right?
Well, there's a girl that I used to babysit where I'm from when I was like in high school, and she was a child actor, and then she ended up moving out to LA and did quite well for herself. But then I've noticed that she's moved on to OnlyFans, and I think if you're a public figure. And then say if you notice that maybe you're acting jobs, but there's still enough of a fan base and they're like, I want to see a kid actor be an OnlyFans model later. As
an adult. Like, there's a nostalgia to it.
Yeah.
Do you think someone could be on OnlyFans if they're losing their hair?
I mean, there's something for everybody. Like, I just worry that if I did it, it would be so embarrassing if mine was like, I just make $20 a month.
Well, this is...
And it's Joe that's just helping me out.
Hold on to that thought. Well, hold on to that thought. Because if you're on OnlyFans and you're losing your hair, Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand. Trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. People, I like Nutrafol. I don't use it. I'm blessed with by the hair gods. I will say this, though. If you're dealing with this, they don't have a cookie-cutter approach. You can go check out their multiple formulas. They target your age and lifestyle. My mom loves it. I'm sure there's some OnlyFans people who love it. Get results you can run your fingers through for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com. Enter promo code FEATHER. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FEATHER. Nutrafol.com, promo code FEATHER. That seemed like a seamless transition to an ad, right, Sarah?
Absolutely.
I think that was pretty good. You know, we're also sponsored by Indochino. Here's the thing. A suit is only looks as good as it fits, okay? You want a suit that fits. If you and nothing stresses me out more than an event coming out where I'm not sure if the suit fits. This is where Indochino comes in. You can customize your style with Indochino. Go to Indochino.com, use code JTrain to get 10% off any purchase of $3.99 or more. That's 10% off at INDOCHINO.com, code JTrain. I just think you're going to spend $3.99 or more because that's how much a suit costs. And if you buy a suit off the rack for $400, not as good as a suit that you have specifically made tailored to your body. Okay? Sarah.
Right.
On the subject, what is the amount of money on OnlyFans that makes it not sad anymore?
I don't know. I would say for me, 20,000 a month.
A month.
Right.
I'm even lower. 10,000 a month. Are you kidding? 10,000 a month.
Well, I have a baby.
You do have a mouth to feed.
I have 2 mouths to feed.
How do you have any thought of like my baby's gonna see Butthole Money? Like, how do you? I don't care.
I don't care either, but I guess there are times where I'm like, I was thinking about this the other day. Sometimes I'm like, am I a sex worker? Because I do talk about my female anatomy on stage quite a bit in a provocative way.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess he's going to see that kind of stuff. The only thing I make note is like try not to, my one stipulation is I won't talk about his personal life.
So you've made that rule already that if your son grows up and is 12 years old and goes on his first date, mommy can't go on stage and be like, look at this fucking idiot. Can't even get a kiss.
Right.
Right. I'm not going to make that rule. I have to see how the kid works out. Like, what if his stories are good? I don't know. I think I think that's nice of you. I think it's an amazing, like, has Joe, your husband, made the same rule?
Yeah. Well, we don't share them on social media.
Are you one of those people that like puts the flower over the face?
A little bit, or I'll just make sure it's just like a back or not as full profile.
Even what's the reasoning? Is it for like internet weirdos? Is that what it is?
No, they're just weird. Well, here's my reasoning is like this was like way back in 2010 after I'd been on Facebook for a while. And then I was just seeing all my friends that I went to high school, their kids. And I had a large graduating class of like 900, but I knew a lot. And it's just weird that I know the backstory of all their kids and their names. And I was in my neighborhood and I saw this girl that I knew, her 2 boys riding their bikes around. And I knew their full name and they don't know
Aiden, get on the sidewalk. Yeah.
Get in the car. Like I could have totally kidnapped their kid with all the information that I have about their family.
Right. I don't know how I feel about it because I just haven't been through it. Like,
yeah.
Like
it does feel pretentious though. I get why people are eye roll when you put a flower over your baby's
maybe head. That's like a business opportunity for someone who wants to start like a new emoji company.
Yeah.
Emojis specifically that are not pretentious to put over. Like in golf, they have this like, I've started to pick up golf lately. And there's like these companies that are like, that do clothing that are like for the badass golfer. Like there's like.
Rock and roll golf.
Yeah. Right. You can get like a stamp for your ball that's like that you can put like Abe Lincoln with his sunglasses on. Like maybe if we got like an emoji company that's specifically like emojis to put over your baby's face that aren't pretentious, like, you're not allowed to fuck this baby. Like you put like, you like make fun of the idea, hiding it from you fucking weirdo, like
a different kind of like an AI wig over his head, like a coif.
Do you think people who put their babies online are stupid, or is it just like, it's not for me? Like,
I think it's just not for me. And it's one of those things that, and also I feel like I don't know what he wants out there. So on his behalf, I'd rather not.
It is so funny that you are speaking like someone who doesn't want to choose the gender for their baby, but in a way different way.
Right.
Like the people who are like, I'm going to let this baby decide what gender they are when they decide. I would be like, what a crazy fucking person. But when you're talking, when you put it in the reference of like, I don't know what this baby wants on the internet. Like I do kind of understand. That does make more sense to me because you are kind of like setting the stage for what they're going to do.
Right. Well, it's also, we get lots of weird comments from fans, and I know they're like trying to be funny, but,
right.
You know, I don't want them to make like, wow, your baby's head is weird, or what's up with this. I remember when Paris Hilton was showing her kid a lot. All my God. Were like, what's going on with his forehead?
That was a weird internet day because it is interesting because she put out the picture of the baby. I don't think anyone knew she was pregnant. She might have had a surrogate.
Yeah, she had a surrogate.
And so then all of a sudden a baby appears with Paris Hilton.
Right.
And then so it is jarring. Like I sometimes when I see like horrific TikTok comments, I kind of get it because I'm like, you're swiping, you're like whale video. Oh my God, what the fuck is this chubby Jew telling me right now? You know, like it's me telling my opinions, and they're like, get out. And I can understand being jarred to anger to like, I have to let this person know I don't want to see this anymore.
Yes.
That makes some sense to me. So when Paris Hilton's baby just appeared and the head was a little bit like a different head than I'd seen.
It was like a light bulb where it was like big on top.
Right. And you go, that is like not nice to think, but I thought it. Like I go, right. And also like, I don't think that they're going to have like the light bulb head forever. I'm sure Paris Hilton has the proper like helmets to put on the baby. That's like what you do.
That head easily. Right.
So like she's going to like figure like I'm not worried about the baby's future, to be honest with you. Like I think Paris Hilton's baby's going to be okay. I think the Hilton money is going to be
fine. And just like plastic surgery or whatever.
Whatever it is, get lip injections. Yeah, whatever. The best makeup artists in town.
Right.
But then you see like the feedback to the feedback, and it's like, I don't think writing to Paris Hilton's accounts like, what the fuck's wrong with your baby when you're in Des Moines is like normal.
Although, are there times like you're on TikTok and it looks like a regular, like a whatever, an innocuous video, but then you've noticed something about their body and you're like, I have to go to the comments.
Right.
To make sure I'm not the only one that thinks this is weird. And then you see somebody call it out and you're like, thank you.
Right. Thank you for.
I feel validated.
That's hilarious because sometimes you'll be like, this isn't good. Like you'll get to a video and be like, this isn't good, but their body's weird. How come it has 1 million comments? And you're like, oh, we all think the body's weird. That's why. Yeah. You know, like that's the funniest one where it's only when a video's popular for a reason it wasn't intended to be popular, I am like truly at my happiest. Like I'm like
that is the best. That like I usually love the comments. I see this a lot in those scenarios of like, I almost broke my ankle running to the comments. right. I'm like, me too. I had to go to the comments to see what was up with this. Totally
agree. Listen, in other comments, it's football season. DraftKings. Okay. Do you bet on sports, Sarah?
No. I'm not.
You're not putting the butthole money on the Patriots this weekend?
No, I'd rather just buy a suit that fits me.
Okay, some sponsors are for other people.
You're right.
Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code JTrain. That's code JTrain for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I will say this. I love to gamble. I'm gambling on every single football game, and I like putting like $1. The fact that you can just put $1 on a game and then suddenly the night has kind of changed. You've got some skin in the game. What a fun thing to do with friends. What a great way. If you're single and you go to a bar, you put $1 on a game, you go to a bar that represents the team you're suddenly a fan of because you put $1 on them. That's pretty cool. And they're going to give you $250 in bonus bets so you can turn that like play money into real money, which is free money. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 888-7369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsible. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offers available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus terms at nfl.com/terms. See, we got through it. I like to get these ads on the fly.
You're a natural.
Sarah Tollemache. I try my best. So the special is called Butthole Money. The link to the special is in the description of both the podcast of all wherever you listen to this podcast. You will find the link to Sarah's special. It is also in the YouTube
stratosphere.
Well, it's in the stratosphere. It's also in the description of this YouTube. So if you go to the description, so we made it as easy as possible. So the Butthole Money is about the Cash Me Outside bit.
Right.
What's a bit you wish you worked more on? What's an unfinished bit that if people watch it, they go, I think every special has an unfinished bit.
I do, and I might actually just work on it more for the next or something.
Really? So you're going to do it again?
Maybe in a different way, but like I know this is not one of the most original premises probably, but like I just think about like the sex dolls, those high-end sex dolls, and like like people are like, oh, are you worried about like taking over your sex life or your husband's sex life? And I am like, I don't mind, but I just picture him not taking good care of it because a lot of guys aren't really good at taking care. Like I just don't picture him like cleaning out whatever traps there are in there or like updating the operating system. I just feel like this is something that I would be responsible for in our relationship.
It's very funny, the idea of you like yelling to your husband, I'm not gonna clean her vagina again,
right. Well, like I'm like, you didn't read the manual because like I feel like, especially, I'm not going to speak on behalf of all men, but I just know that my husband's not really into IT, doesn't really know how to like upload a file. I just feel like in that world with that kind of technology, I just feel like I would end up having to take care of it so I don't have to deal with his bad mood in the apartment.
Right. I'm in favor of keeping going on this topic because I also don't think our generation, I don't think we're going to live to see flying cars and sex robots that are fucked by normal people.
Right. And I don't, I don't actually mind like whatever, it frees up my time. Like I can work on my career.
Right. You can go on podcasts and discuss butthole money. Exactly.
More important things.
Right. I don't know, but wouldn't that be like the least, like, wouldn't it all kind of be a net negative if like just knowing, like, I don't know. I guess I don't feel that way about a woman with a vibrator, but the vibrator doesn't have like the type of head on it that she would prefer. Like it doesn't have like a human head on it.
Right. And
the humanity, the woman on it, like you kind of look at your husband like, really? What are you, a loser? Like you can't even get me. Like don't you have like, wouldn't you like think less of your husband?
God, yeah. I dated this guy that was really into porn, and I remember looking at his search history, and I found one, and it was just like a 1 inch by 1 inch of like a penis going into a butt, and I was like, that's like
what you're into? Yeah,
it's so caveman, like penis butt. I like that. Like, I need a story. I need like some dopamine hits, like a reward and some risk.
Right, you're turned off by the idea of what turns them on. Right,
it's the get.
Right.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think the robot stuff is ever gonna be like you watch that movie, what is it, Her?
Yeah.
Like, and you go, yeah, in this scenario I kind of get it. Like, but like we're not gonna be living like this ever.
No, I don't think in that world. I feel like more, I think it's like that we'll just become avatars and are self-conscious. This is so Matrix. We'll be in
that
Sims.
seems more that seems more attainable.
Yeah, like we're like driving into an AI situation, I feel like.
Are you living in New York? You're in New York.
I'm in Astoria, but we're about to move to Battery Park.
Really?
Yeah.
Battery Park. What made you guys have always been like Astoria people, Brooklyn people?
Right. Well, we couldn't compromise on moving out of New York or if we to raise, and then like.
Did you think of moving out?
We did, but then it's just like it wouldn't work for me. I would feel isolated, and then where I wanted to move, he didn't want to move, and where he wanted to move, I didn't want to move.
Where did you want to move?
I was okay with moving to Austin because my family's from Texas and they have a decent comedy scene there.
Right.
But, you know, Joe was like, well, there's not a lot of people that I know down there or like feel is my crew. And then
he didn't like the scene.
He didn't, I guess, you know,
right.
It's hard to say.
Listen, I get that. And where did he want to move?
Like we were thinking about Tacoma because we have our two best friends live out in Tacoma, Washington area near Seattle.
People who are familiar with this podcast know I am very pro Tacoma.
I love the comedy club.
Yep.
You're nearby Seattle. Washington is so beautiful.
And
but it's so far away to travel to your gigs.
Well, that's the problem. Getting around the country from there is not easy. But
yeah.
My thing with Tacoma was like it got this reputation of smelling bad, which I think is hilarious, the Tacoma aroma. Yeah. But it's the same. And it seems like one of those like elitist things that Seattle people made up to like shame Tacoma people.
Yeah, because it's more working class there, I would say.
Yes. Well, I guess that working class is kind of like eviscerated. Like there's no production there anymore, so the smell is gone. So it still has this reputation of like that's the smelly area, but it's like beautiful views just like Seattle. Like you're getting the Seattle, it's the same airport, same amount away from the airport as Seattle is. So you could build like a house for like a percentage on, and I'm sure that's differing day by day. I'm sure it's getting more and more expensive.
Right.
But it's
still cheaper. It wasn't like as it was attainable for us to have a nice life there.
That's and I actually like I've actually brought up Tacoma many times as my like disappear place. I could never do it. I think I'm surprised Joe would as a New Englander, but he's from like the country New England.
Yeah, well, he's like a little bit outside of Boston,
right?
But that was probably one of the main reasons why he didn't want to move to Texas. Is like I think he's just too New England that it's just hard to get that out.
I've started calling those areas I've had it cities. Yeah, because it's someone where they live. They were like, I've had it, and then they moved to Austin. And then when you go there as a comedian, and I'm sure you've had this, where you meet these people that go to New York City comic shows. Like I've had them come to my show and they'll go, I came because I just wanted to see a New York City comic. I'm from New York. I grew up in New Jersey, gabagool. And and you're like, and they're like, finally I can like just be around New Yorkers. And I'm always like, is this what you talk about all day in Austin? You must be unbearable. You're the Austin person who moved there from New York, who can't stop talking about how much better New York is. Like,
yeah, and how the pizza sucks down there. And you're like,
right. Like like if I moved to Austin, cowboy hat on, put on the boots.
Yes. I'm the same way. Anywhere I move, I'm acclimating. Like
right.
I'm part of you now. Like because I remember that growing up, we had a few people that moved down to in our neighborhood that were from New York, and that was a big part of their identity, even though they were like 7 years old.
I hate that identity. Jersey person living in other places that only talks about being from Jersey. Like it's like the least, I'd rather talk about the weather with that person. Like I would rather talk about anything else in the entire world than, hey, Jersey. Like it's always I hate it so much. You know what we should talk about? weight loss being an individual journey. Everyone deserves to have a plan that is tailored specific to their specific needs. If you're struggling to shed pounds and want some extra help, it's time to check out Hers. Hims and Hers is changing women's healthcare by giving people access to GLP-1 weekly injections. I am a fan of what Wegovy and Ozempic is doing for people. I actually have looked into it a little bit, where I've heard it's like an addiction medication. They've talked about like how it helps people like get their mind off of the food noise, which it might be something that could help you. And this is a great way to like explore that. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/JTrain. That's forhers.com/JTrain for your personalized weight loss treatment options. Forhers.com/JTrain. Hims and Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Okay, we're done with ads. How do you feel about Ozempic?
I'm for it. I think it's life-saving for a lot of people. And I mean, fuck it. We're all doing like plastic surgery and Botoxing, and I think people look amazing and it's making them happier. So
Don't you think, it's more interesting to me the people that are like so against it that you're like, you were an asshole this whole time? Like, I actually can't believe anyone's so against anything. I can't believe anyone's sure about anything.
To have a strong opinion. It's also like, if you're like a skinny person against it, it just makes you seem like you're like, this was the only thing I had going for me.
Right. Well, on the other side of that, I sometimes think like talking about food and like, oh man, I drank too much last night or I ate last night is my only thing I have to talk about. So I'm like, if I lost that, what would I have? I don't know if that's my reason to not take it.
You'd find something, because I remember when I quit drinking, I thought, I was like, what would I have? And then I found TikTok and Instagram, and you know what I mean? Like you substitute it for you'll find something.
I like that you're like, I went from having a drink and being out and social to I just sit alone on my phone
scrolling.
Now.
I know sometimes you're like, I think this is actually worse than smoking what I'm doing.
I think, I'm on my phone so much that it's actually scary. Like it's actually like, and then I do like, oh, you need it for work, but like, no, I don't. I can.
A lot of it's refreshing. A lot of it's like I would consider disgusting behavior. And then what I'm finding out is like this time is like, oh, I actually did have time to raise a child. Like if you're looking at your phone for 8 hours out of the day,
I might have a couple minutes to throw some Cheerios at a kid. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's where it kind of gets me a little bit, because like I'm writing a book and it's been
awesome.
No, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
I know. I commend you.
Thank you. I am a hero. But I did this book, and I know it's going to be good and well done, and I have a ghostwriter that's helping me, which is like another great thing that I'm happy I've done. But when I have to like sit and write, what the lengths I have to go to have my phone not near me to write is actually crazy. Like I have to put it at the other side of the room.
Yeah.
It's got to be plugged in. I have a timer on for when I can touch my phone again. So I do an hour timer. When I get to like 40 minutes, I'm like shaking.
Well, because it's your coping mechanism, and I have the same thing. It's a problem.
When you do a show, do you go immediately to your phone after the show? You get off stage, phone on? Yeah, I do.
Immediately.
I immediately go from like active brain, like I can feel my brain working while on stage, to the melt. I call it the melt.
Yes. Like I can't read a book anymore.
I've never been able to, but to go from reading books to not reading books, like you're the commercial with the woman with the vibrator on her.
I have a hole in my throat. It's a hole in my brain right now.
I used to read Matt Christopher novels.
Well, now I'm just doing Audible, because I can do
You can listen.
Certain books like driving around, I find that quite pleasurable. But
I
don't
go
read
ahead.
as much as I used to ever since, particularly when TikTok has rotted me.
It's tough. I mean,
but I love it.
I do love it, and I love the grab bag of it. I think that's again the thing that we talk about, whale video, like, and then to just have to me, it's switching stations. It's the same. I mean, I used to be I like cable television. Do you have a cable television still or no?
Yeah.
Like I like flipping
you can
channels.
Still scroll, yeah.
Right. That's a version of flipping channels.
Oh, well, absolutely. Like people are, like how TikTok's so bad, and you're like, I grew up in MTV first came out, and I remember watching it this close to my face. And those are TikToks, what I was doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And TikTok was going from NBC, ABC, CBS to the cable stations, MTV, Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
TBS, TNT. I'll watch a little bit of Billy Madison. Let me go back to the music video. I guess that is what TikTok is.
Yeah, you're just scrolling.
So the special's out. It's called Butthole Money.
Tonight. Yeah, it's out. Sorry.
It's out by the time this is out. So it's out. Everyone should go watch it. Sarah's incredibly funny, hilarious. You're going to love it. I'll put some comments there that are fun. Like, comment that you liked it. Don't just comment. The annoying part of the people that know that we want comments, they just go like, comment.
Here for the algo.
Yeah, here for the algo. Don't be a dick. Like Sarah worked on these jokes.
Emoji.
Fire emoji. That to me, I get a fire emoji. I'm like, we did it. Okay, I got what I wanted.
Woo! We landed.
This is you gave. I got. We're all good. I'll just believe what that fire emoji meant. That I am the greatest.
I'm lit.
I'm lit. So you're going to Battery Park City. So you're going to Manhattan.
Yeah, I've never been a Manhattanite.
Let me tell you, it's a great life over here. I'm sitting in the West Village, and last night I went from, but I guess you could do this anywhere, but I went from Martini. Well, you have a baby, so you're out of this. You don't drink.
I can go to park to park.
A lot of parks. So my version of Martini to burrito to home, you'll go park to home. That's the same thing.
Same thing.
Well,
I do think we'll probably be apartment poor.
Okay.
Where you're like, okay, now we can't do anything.
Right. We live here. We better make this home pretty great. We better use all the promo codes to get apartment stuff. Well, Sarah, this was fantastic. Everyone,
always fun. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Everyone, if you're listening or watching, we want you to watch the special. We want you to make it like your Saturday night. Do it on your phone. I don't know how, everyone has their own way of watching specials, but you're going to be laughing.
Pop in the chat because I'll be there hanging out.
Oh, really?
I love the chat. I even go into other comics chats on YouTube when their specials premiere.
When does it premiere?
It premieres 9 p.m. Eastern and then 6 p.m. Pacific.
On the 5th?
Tonight, yeah. Oh, yeah, on the 5th. I always forget.
This comes out later. You're not going to be in the chat. Sarah will not be in the chat. She will be reading your comments, though. But people come on.
Refreshing.
This is Chit Chat Wednesday. It is every week I have someone on that I enjoy talking to, and Sarah's one of those people, and she's so funny.
Always. I wish we could see each other more in the city.
I know. It's always a pleasure to see you, and I wouldn't have, this is like one of those things. It's like, say, you go, oh, special out, let's do this. But, I'm always like, I want to make sure people go watch a special because we talked about, Cash Me Outside Girl, but there's a Cash Me Outside Girl bit in it.
Right.
So if you like this,
go check out her OnlyFans.
Right. Give her the money.
Sarah and Jared brought you there.
Got you hooked on $52 million. What's the amount of money? If I got $52 million to do my taint for the year, I think I'd disappear off the earth. Like I
don't even think, because it's so saturated, that it would even ruin prospects for a regular job anymore.
What would it ruin? We've ruined all of our prospects for regular jobs.
Oh yeah, my resume, if I went to go back into the real world of working, it would look like I was in a halfway house for 20 years.
So What were you doing? Well, I was in basements telling my opinions to people.
Right. No one in corporate America thinks of stand-up as a legit job when you're like, we're doing more administrative work than we've ever done in this career ever.
To let the listeners know, before we started, Sarah and I are like going through like how to work the microphones and things. And like, we are talking like two people who went to like tech school. Like you knew.
I'm at 44 megahertz. Is that working for you, or should I move it up to 48? It's
crazy. We didn't sign up for this. All right, goodbye, everyone. Go watch Sarah's special. You're gonna love it. We'll be back tomorrow. Boom.